Well, hello and welcome to the Internal Mobility Podcast, where we explore all of the ways for you to reach your potential here at Randstad while also making this giant company a little easier to know and understand. I'm thrilled that today our guest is Bernard Beltran. Bernard is currently a sales director, but Bernard, you didn't start there. Why don't you let the team know what your Randstad journey has been like?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you for having me, Chris. So I started my Randstad journey back in May of 2013. So I'm going on my 12th year with the organization. Interesting story. I was hired by Wendy Sue back in 2013, and full circle, I joined her CX team when she created it back in 2023. So I've always been in the office and admin, BAO, OP space now. What we call it. So I transitioned. I started as a staffing consultant. Now I believe we're called talent solutions managers. So quickly promoted 2 years later into the assistant manager role, market manager position shortly after that. And then I made the difficult decision to let my then VP, Michelle Quilty, know that, hey, I'm leaving the organization. I'm uprooting the family to move to Texas. And so very hard decision. She quickly got me in contact with Shauna, the AVP for Texas at the time. We started having conversations, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to stay with Randstad just because the office was going to be about 45 minutes of a drive for me. And so started to explore other opportunities, interviewed with other staffing agencies, had offers with other staffing agencies, but it just didn't feel right. It wasn't the same, right? And so I even had a company that flew me out to Atlanta for an interview, and I was like, wow, this is impressive. But at the end of the day, you come back to where you feel home. And so called Shauna. I said, hey, Shauna, is the offer still there? And so she said, yes, as long as you're okay with starting as a senior staffing manager and take a demotion from being the market manager in Illinois to being a senior staffing manager in Texas. I said, you know what? I'm fine with that. And I joined the team. A year later, I was promoted to market manager. And then I believe 2-3 years later, I was promoted to the managing director. And so now I'm still with Randstad and loving it and part of the CX team.
I love your story. We talk a lot about the career jungle gym. There used to be the ladder where you just kind of go up and up, and it's not like that anymore. Like you, I also took a step back at one point. And then the thing about Randstad is when you take good care of what you're trusted with, it always tends to grow, right?
Absolutely.
It's amazing. And it sounds like you were really well supported by leadership too in the move and getting connected to the right people. And I love that Randstad is home. I feel the same way. And with more than a decade under your belt, and so many people have that story. Like, we've got long tenured employees here. Why do you think that is? Why do you think so many of us stay and commit decades to this organization?
Yeah, I mean, I said it earlier. It's definitely home. When you think the grass is greener, on the other side of the staffing world, but it isn't always the case. You think about all the different perks and benefits that Randstad has. I think one of the things I really have seen evolve throughout the years, is the Randstad engagement survey, the Pecan survey. It's something that we really didn't have, when I first started as a staffing consultant to now what it's evolved into. It's definitely that platform that allows us to have the voice that sometimes we, kind of shy away from because we're timid or don't know how to start that conversation. And so having that platform for us to really either provide the positive feedback or that constructive criticism, whether there's changes that you think need to be implemented, I think that's a great platform for anyone, for all of us within the organization to have. And out of that, I've seen a lot of different changes in positive impact that it's made within the organization that has truly benefited everyone out on the field. So culture certainly is one thing. And, Randstad does a really good job, all the different BRGs that you could be part of. And, just seeing the changes in the 12 years that I've been with the organization, that's definitely one of the things that's kept me here.
Yeah, me too. And bonus points for you mentioning the Randstad in Touch survey, because it just opened and we're in an active cycle. So like, if you're listening to us right now, go give your opinion, because just like Bernard said, like, it matters. Like, things change when you speak up. It's a cool place because
Absolutely.
of that.
I just noticed that it came out this morning and I was like, oh, perfect timing.
Well, I hope you complete yours. I plan to before the end of the day. That's how you keep from getting those reminders. Just do it when it comes across, right? And don't be quiet. Why would you let everybody else weigh in and not lend your voice?
Yeah. And I think we tend to just rush through it, right? Like you just say, oh, 10, 10, 10, or whatever. And you don't really think about the questions that are being asked. Definitely take the time, because again, with being in leadership in the past, we definitely take a look at those comments and take it to heart and address them immediately. And so, yeah, definitely.
Sage advice. All right. What would you say to somebody out there that's feeling stuck in their current role right now?
That's a good question. I think it's normal, you know, in our day to day, especially in sales, you feel that that burnout, and it's inevitable that you're going to think, oh, what's my next move, in my career? Is this something that I feel passionate about? Is this still something that I want to do? The great thing about Randstad is that we're such a large organization, a global organization, and there's different areas and avenues that if you feel that your skill set isn't in sales or in recruiting any longer, there's learning and development. There's so many different avenues that you can explore. But apart from that, let's say if you feel you're stuck, but yet you're still passionate about what you do, I always go back to my core. I always go back to, why am I doing this? What's the reason why I've been with the industry for so long and still continue to love it? I go back to the service for our community, and I go back to the reason why, which is to help people, to make an impact in the world of work, right? I think that was a slogan from years ago within Randstad. But I think that would be the best advice that I have. Just go back to your core. Like, what was the reason when you first either were sought out by a Randstad recruiter and expressed interest and continued conversations with that recruiter, or hit that apply button to Randstad and said, you know what, I want to go give it a try. And think about why you did that, whether it be for your own personal gain of wanting to earn additional money because you knew that sales could get you, commissions, right? Or you just were passionate about helping people. I think just going back to the reason why you started with us in the first place.
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome. Hey, before you go, do you have a good partner for talent story for us?
Yes. So I have two. I have an internal story and an external. So, because oftentimes I think we really think about external when we're working with our clients and our talent that we put to work, but partner for talent also could be within the organization. And so when I decided to transition into the CX division when it was created back in 2023, it wasn't an easy decision. I remember Kurt Van Order sat me in a conference room in the office, and he said, you know what, Bernard, I know I initiated the conversation with Wendy for you, but let's sit down and really the pros and cons. Like, why would you want to consider CX and why wouldn't you want to stay with me? He was really trying to, Kurt's a salesperson, right? He's an awesome salesperson. He was really trying to sell me into staying within the BAO space. And so I thought long and hard. I said, you know what? I've never ventured out of the BAO space. Now's my time. Now's an opportunity for me to do this. But also, it's going to create an opportunity for someone that I hired onto the team that I knew was ready for that next step in her career. And if I didn't make this change, it would have kept her where she was at, right? And so part of that decision was for me to elevate someone else's career. And now she's been promoted into the market manager position and has been in the role for 2 years and succeeding at that. So that's one of the partner for talent stories internal that I have. And lastly, external. So I was working with I'm still working with this client in Dallas, and she didn't have a really good experience with with other staffing partners, and didn't quite have good experiences with some internal Randstad employees. And I started having conversations with her, and we just really built that trust with each other. And which I think when we're thinking of partner for talent, I think trust is a big thing, especially when you're building relationships with your clients. And so now, anytime that she has an opening, she comes to me and says, "Hey, Bernard, do you trust this person? If it's not yourself who would be able to help me out with filling this position, do you trust this person with our business?" And I was like, absolutely, 100%. And so almost every single line of business now has worked with this organization, with this company, and has filled positions, which is a great ACAR story, but also a great partner for talent story, because now, yes, she still works with other agencies, which we're trying to slowly knock those other agencies out. However, I know that I have her loyalty, and she knows that we're going to be able to fulfill, what role she has, because of the trust that she has in Randstad and the partnership that we were able to build with her. So
amazing. I love it. I love the fact that you brought forward the partnership story internally, developing somebody else's career, learning something new yourself. Again, additional support from a solid manager that really helped you to get to the core. And then it always comes down to the people, the relationships, right? It's you and that client. Beautiful. So thank you for the stories, and thank you also for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.